There's a long-running series of games that everybody knows. Most people have played. There's a movie. And I used to love the series. It released a new game every year, but I kind of fell off. That game series is Assassin's Creed. On this episode of Just a Bit Gaming Side Quest, I brought in my brother Ryan to come in here and talk about Assassin's Creed because he is into the newer stuff, and I'm into the older stuff. So, welcome to the show, Ryan.
Hey, what's up?
So, let's just get straight into this. This is a cool topic, I think, because I used to love this series. I really did. From the beginning. The original Assassin's Creed with Altair.
I played that one.
Yeah. Did you play it when it first came out, or is it?
Yeah, I played it. The last time I played Assassin's Creed originally was the first one. Yeah, and I liked it. I barely remember it. It was a long time ago.
The one thing I remember about that game is it was super repetitive.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a hard game to force yourself through. I wanted to give up on it early on, but the thing that kept me going was it was one of those early open world exploration games where you could crawl and climb on anything you wanted to. And at the time, that was really unique. And so that kept me going in the game.
I always liked, I liked jumping from high places. That's the first thing I remember about the game, because I do remember the first time that you do the swan dive into the grass.
Yep.
That was the very first opening scene. You get to do it. You're with the Creed, I guess. You're with a bunch of assassins in the beginning, if I remember right.
Yep.
Then you jump off of a branch into some weeds or whatever, and then you go down into the city. And into hay. It's like three guys, isn't it? Like three people jump at the same time. Is that how it was in the first one?
I think so. It's been a long time, but yeah, I mean, that was the big appeal of the game. You could go basically wherever you wanted to go, climb up these buildings, jump off into this hay bale, or if there was a dude that you're trying to assassinate, you jump down and use that invisible blade.
Yeah, I was into the stealth because I'm terrible at video games. So
that's a good point.
That's why I liked it, and that's why I like it now, because I'm terrible. Like, I want to play online games with you guys, but I can't aim for shit. I feel like I'm, what do you call it? Dyslexic in game terms, because I play inverted. So I'm terrible at aiming.
Man, every time I grab a controller after you've been playing and you got those inverted controls on it, irritates me.
Every time I start a new game, before I change the inversion, I'm like, let me just stick it out. I'm going to play it for 20 minutes and see if I can get the hang of it. And all I do is run around in circles and run into walls, and I can't do it. So
basically like how it is for me when you hand me an inverted controller.
Yeah. So I'm inverted. I'm a weirdo. It's gaming dyslexic is what I am. But anyway, that's why I like the stealth games, because I can actually do that, because it's more about sneaking up on people, and you can slash them from a distance. Like, I wish there was an open world, like, what do you call it? Like a game where everybody, the multi-online, what are they, MMO?
MMO, yeah.
Yeah. I wish
massively multiplayer online.
Yeah, because most of them are like Destiny or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just an idiot. I feel like when I play Destiny with you guys, that I'm just like the dope that you have to drag along. Like, everyone's carrying me.
No, I don't think so.
Like, I can't do anything. I can't aim.
I remember playing a few multiplayer games with you, and I don't remember that ever being an issue. But I mean, I guess that's kind of why you kind of stick with those single player games. Those open world games.
The open world games are my favorite, because I can go at my own pace. I'm not dragging anyone down. I can stick to the story.
You can explore and look over everything that's
I like playing online. I wish there was one of these like this that I could play online where people come in. I guess that's what Fallout 76 is going to be or something. But
yeah.
But anyway, but Fallout 76, you still have guns. See, guns throw me off. I can't do it.
That's what it is. So Assassin's Creed introduced guns later on in the series, but in the beginning it was just your sword and your hidden blade. Yeah. That's all you had. And the ability to climb up buildings and assassinate people from above. But the thing that I remembered about liking that game is, like you said, it was a stealth game. The not Siphon Filter. Splinter Cell.
Yep.
Splinter Cell games. I loved the Splinter Cell games, and I loved the
Hitman.
Yeah, the hide and go seek kind of aspect of it. And Assassin's Creed introduced that as well as full world exploration. But the thing that really drew me in, besides all the gameplay elements and exploring this awesome like old world, is the storyline. I thought the storyline was a big draw factor, at least in the beginning.
I'm new to the storyline because I guess with the open world games, there's too much going on. Like I don't get stories very well when it's just like quick interactions with people.
Yeah.
Where they're like, somehow you're supposed to catch on to a story while somebody's sending you on an errand. Like I'm kind of like,
or like Spider-Man, where you constantly getting phone calls.
Yeah. I don't follow that kind of storyline. Or if you have to read a lot of like paperwork.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, I don't follow it very well either.
So like then I don't get the storyline. I feel like I missed out. Like I need a storyline that's like small and condensed, and then it grows bigger. Like Final Fantasy VII, I remember it kept you like you had to hang out with all the characters first and get to know the story before it blew up into a bigger game.
Yeah.
And so like that's my only problem with these open world games is the story is so hard to follow for me. Like
I can see that.
I have to go and like read a book just to see what's going on.
Well, and with Assassin's Creed in particular, they kind of just throw you into this world not knowing anything that's going on.
I actually didn't start learning the lore of it till like I've got this guy that I'm tattooing. I've been tattooing him for like 2 years now, and he came in and he wanted Assassin's Creed sleeve. I was like, oh yeah, I know Assassin's Creed. He's like, oh yeah, and he started naming characters, and I was like, I have no idea who you're talking about. And he was like, oh, then I'm gonna get all the pieces of Eden. I'm like, I still don't know what you're talking about, and I know I played at least 2 of the games all the way through, and
that's really strange to me. So you would play these games just for the gameplay, the story.
Well, I couldn't catch on, like, because I'm sitting there in battle or I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I'm trying to go assassinate somebody, and then they interrupt with, "Hey, I'm your buddy, your friend.
Yeah.
Could you go on an errand for me?" And somehow I was supposed to get the story out of there. I'm thinking about, this is wasting my time. I was in the middle of something. So, like, the cutscenes, and this isn't all the big open world games, the cutscenes steal me away so much that I'm not paying attention, or I take that opportunity to go take a piss or like make some food, or mess with my phone. I never can follow it. Like, so I need something that's like, I was thinking about this on the way here. I was like, man, if I could change anything about Assassin's Creed, I would bring in the characters that you're supposed to be like drive the story. I would keep them with you. Like, if you think of Final Fantasy VII, where like the characters went with you. So they went through the journey with you. Mm-hmm. Well, even the new Final Fantasy. And I like that because you get to know them and they help you through the story by keeping it relative to what you're doing.
Yeah, but it's easier done in games like that because it is an RPG. It's a JRPG. You don't directly control any one character. You're just giving commands.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's hard for me to follow the story. I'm actually in the new one because I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey now. I'm really slowing down, and I'm trying to pay attention to everything. And
are you taking in the story, or just taking in what you're doing?
The story is actually not too hard to take in, but the story in Odyssey is driven by you. You have to make decisions. So, like, it's kind of like you're playing both sides. You don't. There is no like sure path. You're just. I guess it has something to do with the 300. I know that because it opens up with the 300. Like.
Actually, hold on.
Yeah, do you want to get into that one, or you?
I don't want to get onto it yet.
Okay.
Let's backtrack here a little bit. So the original Assassin's Creed, I thought, was a great introduction to the series. It was a way to introduce something new, but it was not perfect. It was far from perfect. And in fact, a lot of people that I know didn't finish the game. The only reason I finished the game is because I wanted to see the story through. I was really interested.
I wanted to open the world up, is what my thing.
The part where. What's the guy in the future? Miles, Desmond Miles. Mm-hmm. His story was really interesting to me, and I was
actually the story is that's what I was getting at with the tattoo. Once he started telling me about the lore, I went home and started researching it, and I was like, what did I miss?
Yeah,
and I missed a lot because the lore is fantastic.
That's kind of. Yeah, it is. And there's a lot of details that you get in reading the scripts that you find.
I love the idea of sci-fi being mixed with this like old world. Like I'm bored with Game of Thrones style of fantasy where it's just, like dragons and wizards and all that. Like there's so many games like that. I get really bored with it.
So you say that, and I remember you telling me years ago that all you want is just an awesome pirate game, like an open world pirate
Assassin's
exploration
Creed
game.
was the first one.
First one to do that. Yeah, it was.
That's what I did play Black Flag. I didn't
Flag.
beat it though, because once Black Flag got to where the ships, I was terrible at it.
Yeah, I didn't like that part of the game at all.
But I do like it now.
Because that's a big part of this new game.
Yeah, once you get good at using, I guess, again, just like with the cutscenes in open world games taking me out of it, I felt like in Black Flag, the ships took me out of it, took me out of the game. Even though I wanted a real pirate experience, I wanted to be able to do the ships, I was still getting into the, like, doing the land missions. Like, I just wanted to go to different islands and explore them, which I did do a lot in Black Flag.
Yeah.
Black Flag was one of my favorites. And then which one was the one with the Native Americans? That was
3.
That was amazing. I love that one.
So, okay. For me, the height of this series was the Ezio trilogy. So Assassin's Creed 2. What was I can't remember the sub names for the other ones, but you had Assassin's Creed 2, and then you had 2A and then 2B.
There's some Assassin's Creed nerds listening going like, because I tattoo one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's way into it. I'm like, man, I'm new to this. Like, give me a break. Like, I want to know all this Assassin's Creed lore. Well, but yeah, I lost it in Assassin's Creed 2. I got like all the way where the world opened up and I got a horse, and I was just over it by then because I didn't want to grind and earn all this stuff because I was new to open world gaming. So I stopped playing at Assassin's Creed 2. But then when I heard Assassin's Creed was going to have a Native American storyline, like the old colonial stuff, I was really interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the exciting thing about the Assassin's Creed is you always wanted to know where are they going to go next, you know?
And it's so fascinating to see the world, how it may have been. Like, I'm jumping ahead again, but that was my favorite thing about Assassin's Creed Origins. But I digress.
So, okay, it's Brotherhood and Revelations.
Didn't even try to play those. Are those the in-between ones?
That's Assassin's Creed 2, the Ezio trilogy.
Right, that was good.
Yeah.
Which one is the ones that came after the Native American ones? Those are the ones I didn't even...
Black Flag.
No.
Black Flag
What was the one where you had like 2 characters in it?
Oh, yeah. They did have some sort of spin-off ones.
Was that after Black Flag, those ones?
Which one are you talking about?
I didn't even play them because they didn't look fun at all. They looked like they were just...
The side-scrolling ones?
No. It was like... there was all these like... There was like 2 or 3 games that came out that looked to me like, this is why I didn't play them. They look like they were just rebranding the same old game.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I know what you're talking about. Like, they did come up, they came out with 2 or 3 extra
there's like
games.
4 assassins in it, and it's like Europe.
Yeah, okay.
Turn of the century.
Syndicate?
Yeah,
Syndicate came out before Origins, and I missed that one completely.
So it was after Black Flag and before Origins? Yeah, I didn't even bother playing that.
But they also had one that came out on the previous gen systems when Black Flag came out, and I don't remember the name of that one. I never played it, but that one was just strictly like put out there for, I guess, just to have another game out.
So technically, even though I played all these games, I wasn't an Assassin's Creed fan at the time. I was more interested in just seeing the atmosphere, seeing the world. For the historical things. I like history.
Yeah. So, right. That was the big draw. But I think for the for keeping the topic kind of easier for us, we're going to stick to the games that we played. And those are the kind of the mainline series games and not so much of those spinoffs. And I think between the two of us, we missed out on like Syndicate.
Right.
And the other one that was
I kind of want to go back and play them now because I want to learn the lore.
I do want to play the Syndicate. Syndicate setting looked kind of cool to me.
I'd like to start at the beginning and play them all the way through. That's a lot of work. But
especially with the first one. Oh man, that first one was a long... I remember just wanting to be done with that game. It was just so hard to push.
Well, then it gets kind of, then you... Well, I did like, though, when you do the assassinations and then you, like, it made it real personal. Like, they had that little small cut scene.
Yeah.
So, like, you can see the guy beg for his life or...
Yes.
Whatever.
Oh, man, that's a good point. You bring up a book. The Assassin's Creed 2 also did this with Ezio. So whenever you would go get ready to assassinate a dude, he would basically, or she would basically just
call you out.
Yeah, and
he would say like, you think you're doing good, but you're actually yeah. You can kill me now, but just think about who you are. They would do all these things to make it personal.
And yeah, it would always make you feel a little bit of guilt.
Right.
Whether this person is good or bad, you always felt a little bit guilty about what
I
you're
don't
about
think
to
in
do.
Assassin's Creed, if I remember right, there wasn't a really true evil. It was one side's opinion versus another side's opinion.
And it was the assassins versus the
Templars.
Yeah, the Templars. And that's another thing in and of itself that I never really fully grasped. I just knew that it was two different factions that were against each other.
I don't fully even understand why
because
they had friction.
It got so okay in the Assassin's Creed 2 series, the Ezio series. It focused also really heavily on what was going on in the future with Desmond. And I was so interested in Desmond's storyline, I wanted to see it through to the end and figure out what the heck is going on here. It got so confusing there towards the end, especially in Revelations. Revelations was where everything kind of came to a crashing halt. You understood what was going on, and there was the Apple of Eden that you were talking about, and how it was a way that history repeats itself with this thing. And gosh, I don't even remember now. I feel kind of
like we should know more. Like we should go back and play the game.
Yeah, like I don't want to be talking about it right now because I played through it, and even then I remember thinking this is so weird.
It's definitely confusing. A game that is like, it's kind of like watching Game of Thrones. You play it all the way through, and then you have to go back and redo it again
just to understand it.
Yeah, because Game of Thrones, I was halfway through that whole series before I learned anyone's name. Like I was like, what is going on? There's so many things going on that you can't really catch on. And now that I'm catching on to the lore of Assassin's Creed, I want to go back. And
that's the thing about Assassin's Creed is like in the beginning, if you cared any about the story, at least what's going on with the Desmond storyline, you would have to play them in order because they followed each other. Like you wouldn't understand it otherwise.
Well, that's what leads us. I don't know if you want to get into it, the modern ones.
I mean, we can. What about? I want to talk about 2 just a little bit more because that one to me I think was
2
the pinnacle of the series.
I think 2, for me personally, I got just started into 2, and then that's where in fact that's the last time I played till Black Flag came out.
Remember when Brotherhood came out, and I was thinking, why? I want to see a new area. Like, let's take the series to a new place. But I was still interested in what was going on with Ezio. I still liked Ezio as a character, so I went ahead and played through it. And I think I ended up liking Brotherhood even more than the number 2. And then Revelations was the game that kind of closed out Desmond's kind of storyline. That's what
I think closing out Desmond's storyline is kind of what set the whole thing. Because I guess from what I understand, back in the day, they were trying to put out a game a year, which to me is
still do. I mean,
well, yeah, it takes your quality down, like, because how are you supposed to keep up because I think what they did is they closed out the story. Yeah. So now everyone is making these new games they don't have a clear story.
Right.
So the story kind of takes its own narrative depending on who made the game.
Well, and I think the storyline, like,
this is where people got lost. I think people. This is where I got
lost.
Yeah.
This is where I wasn't as interested or invested in Assassin's Creed 3 because to me, the big draw for me was Desmond's story, and that was kind of absent from Assassin's Creed 3. Well,
it seemed like they were just, to me, it seemed like, this is why I didn't play any games after that. Visually, to me, they look like, you know how like Disney will put out their big Disney movie, and then they put out like 8 versions that just get worse and worse and worse?
Yeah.
That's what I felt like they were doing. I was like, well, they're just...
I could see
they're just choking this game.
Right, and that's what it seemed like with 2, but I would tell you that if you could go back and play any games in the series, play the Ezio trilogy.
I do want to go back. I got to remember it because then I remember they.
I would say you could play 3 if you wanted to experience kind of colonial America type stuff, and I did play 3 all the way through. Oh, you did?
Because like I said, I have a harder time following I can follow the story pretty well in the moment, but it's like studying for a test. It's immediately gone after I did it.
Well, and the thing is with Assassin's Creed is like once they drop the future stuff, it seems to make more sense to me. It's like these don't need to be stories that continue. These can be their own storyline set within that time period. The big draw of those games is exploring that time period.
Right. So you don't need the modern stuff.
You don't need to tie them together in any way. Like I could see how that was important in the beginning, but I think they can do away with that now.
Well, actually, now that I know the lore a little bit, because I had to study it for that tattoo that I was doing, still doing. but it's fascinating. Like, so apparently there's, I don't know how I missed this, because they were just, to me, it was like speaking Spanish to me. They were just like, oh, and blah, 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 blah. There was some stuff that happened. I didn't follow any of it.
Yeah.
Then my client explained it to me, and he was like, oh, no, there was a civilization that was once, 10,000 years or whatever ago that was once great.
Yeah.
And then they had something happen, a catastrophe happen, and then now all these new people are like discovering, like, there was this old world, this ancient world, and I was like, that sounds cool. This ancient world with ancient technology that was equal to ours, and apparently they were like stronger beings. They were better than human, and then they got wiped out by I guess a solar flare or something. And once I learned that was what the whole story was, because I didn't get the whole Templars and the Assassins. I thought the Assassins, I thought it was Christian based. I thought it was like religion. And so I didn't think that there was a scientific element to it.
Right.
I thought
it was heavily scientific.
Because it was like the apple of Eden, and they were talking about Adam and Eve and all that.
Yeah.
I thought they were just taking liberties with the Bible.
They were, but they were molding it to fit their world that they
I guess I
created.
didn't know that the liberties they were taking were based off of this old like sci-fi thing. Now that I know that, that's when I was really interested.
Yeah. Well, it is a cool take on the storyline, and I think where they were going with it, that's why I was so invested into it. That's why I wanted to see it through to the end. I was ultimately left a little bit disappointed, though, because I felt like the ending was a little bit far-fetched. It was too sci-fi for my liking. I liked the old world style exploring and everything like that. And what I wanted to see in the future, I guess, with Desmond is to see, hey, what's going on with him here is I want to see how they get through. How do they solve this? Like, are the Assassins going to win versus the Templars? I didn't want to see them kind of take it all back to the beginning with this kind of sci-fi element that you're talking about with this old world, highly sophisticated.
That's what I'm
thing.
most looking forward to.
Yeah, that.
I think they could just do without all the modern stuff. For those of you that are like fans that are way into that, you got your bit. It's there.
Yeah.
You can't retell that story. So like now, I think they should probably just change the name from like this, like the title of it's still Assassin's Creed, but they don't even mess with assassins anymore. They're just talking about the world that they built. Yeah. Which to me is amazing. I love
it's kind of cool.
I like that I can have like a history lesson and I can have a sci-fi game.
Yeah. I always thought it would be cool to explore future world as Desmond. And they always kind of like hinted that they might do that.
They're probably going to go there in the future.
I don't think they will.
You don't think they'll
miss that chance?
You don't think that they're going to go and have like this Assassin's Creed, like future Assassin's Creed?
No, I think if they were going to do that, they would have done it by now. It's too late.
They're going to run out of ideas, and doesn't look like they're going to run out of reasons to make games.
I mean, there are so many different ancient civilizations and time periods that they could explore. I mean, I still feel like this series has legs.
Yeah, they do need to see some of the like Asian cultures.
Yeah, they haven't even gone there. They've gone there on these little subset story games. They're side scrollers. I haven't played any of those.
I'd like to see some old Mayan stuff. I'd like to see all the way back to the very first people that ever crossed into the Americas. Yeah, like that kind of history. That's why I play the games, really. I like learning because, of course, it's like this twisted version of the history. But as soon as I start like seeing these certain things pop up in a game, I go and I research it.
It makes you interested in the subject matter. And God of War did that for me.
God of War was an amazing game, but we could talk about that on another time.
But I mean, I see what you mean. Like after I finished God of War, what did I do? I started looking up things about the mythology. I found books and stuff to read up on. It's like, I don't know anything about Thor or Loki other than what Marvel says. Like, I want to know about these characters. So Assassin's Creed does the same thing. And I love that.
See, I guess when I was playing it back in the day, when I was playing Black Flag and stuff like that, I really didn't take that too seriously. Although I will say my favorite part in Black Flag, if I remember right, it was George Washington was leading, the rebellion or the Revolutionary War, and am I misremembering this? Wasn't it George Washington?
Maybe in 3?
It was the Native American one, wasn't it?
That's number 3.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
You said Black Flag. Black Flag.
Yeah. Black Flag was. I don't even remember much about that one.
3 was really awesome because of things like what you're talking about.
Yeah. I liked when we took control and like I could lead an army.
Yeah.
Like
that was cool.
That was fun in 3. Black Flag.
Well, the only thing
different.
that I didn't.
That was just swimming around when
Black Flag was kind of its own thing. You know, it didn't really.
Island hopping. That was fun.
Yeah. And diving in the ocean to find treasure. That was cool. But the number 3, the only thing that really kind of made me not love it was the sheer lack of surfaces to climb. Like you could climb mountains and stuff, but I wanted to climb huge buildings. And
so now you're getting into the new ones. Like if you think there's freedom in Zelda, like
yeah, right. I do want to get into that. I really, really do. I want to play that, but I'm gonna have to wait until after Spider-Man is done, and then Red Dead is coming out.
Red Dead is to me, all these Assassin's Creed games, they're just like holding me over until Red Dead Redemption.
Assassin's Creed, if they were smart, would release in the spring when nothing else is coming out. Then I would.
That's what kind of game they are. They're like a spring. You know those movies that come out like in the off season.
Yeah,
they're watchable. But they're not
like top tier. Like I want to play this. No, you're waiting for Red Dead, not freaking Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. But Assassin's Creed is so well done. Though.
It's so well done, but it's such a huge time sink of a game that it would benefit them to not release in the main heavy season of game.
All right, I want to get into the new ones.
All right. Start with. We skipped Syndicate because
I didn't even play Syndicate.
I played one on Vita that was pretty awesome. It was
I didn't play that either.
It was,
but I heard they're going to re-release. They're going to re-release the PlayStation ones remastered for the PS4. I'm pretty certain of it.
Well, the one on the Vita was just another. It was another character you played as a woman, and I don't remember her name, and I don't remember much about the storyline. But it was the same type of setting as Assassin's Creed 3.
Well, there was one because I know this because there was like a. Wasn't there like an Indian character from India? Wasn't there?
I think they have an India game, but it's not a regular.
Yeah, but it was like a little handheld one, right?
No, it was, well, maybe. I don't know. They have one on the consoles, but it was one of those side-scrolling ones. You had I think India, China, and Russia.
Oh yeah,
and they were side-scrolling. I haven't played any.
Oh, they were. Yes, they were. Yeah, you're right. Okay. But I remember that now.
Before we get into Odyssey, tell me about Origins because.
Okay.
Before you get into that, let me tell you why I dropped out of the series and why you're still going into it. I
like it more now than I did before.
I played every mainline release up until Black Flag. Black Flag is where I fell off of the series.
Black Flag pretty much lost it for me. Now, I like the pirate thing. I really do. I feel like where Black Flag lost me is they didn't have as much... I like Pirates of the Caribbean pirates. I like fantasy pirates.
And it wasn't really following... The lore of the world wasn't following anything that I was familiar with, nor was I interested in.
No, it wasn't fun enough. Like, I feel like in games, if you want to really like invest in the characters, they got to be more animated and fun. Yeah. Like Pirates of the Caribbean, you got to have these animated, fun characters.
Well, I mean, it was
Black
a little
Flag
bit too serious.
Yeah, it was all serious, and it was like
I hated the ship battles. A lot of people loved the ship battles. I hated it.
Not to mention, sometimes I'd have to go somewhere and I didn't have my ship, and so I just swim forever.
I never did that.
But getting it, I'll tell you, okay.
To me, the best part was scuba diving.
See, once we got to where I had to be out on the ocean forever, that's why I quit playing. I put it down after that because I was like, I'm sick of this. I'm not good at the ship battles. Now I know you just upgrade the ship, but I wasn't a big open world gamer or whatever back then. In fact, that's almost exclusively what I play now because I travel a lot and I don't have access to the internet, so I have to play games that will consume you. That
you don't have to be connected for.
Yeah. Because if it's a game like, for instance, if it's a game that's too linear and I can beat it, I'll beat it in 3 days and I'm done.
Yeah, that's true too. Man, there's so many games that you've done that with. I'm like, how in the world are you already done with that?
Because I can't stop playing once I played them. That's why I kind of like the newer ones because they are kind of at your own pace. There's no motivation to beat it. Like, you don't even care. Like, when I was playing, what's the one with the Aloy?
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, I was so into the story and everything that I rushed and beat it really quickly because I wanted to see what happens. But when I was playing Assassin's Creed Origins, I really didn't care. So I was spending more time with the environments and with the world and with upgrading weapons and seeing where I could go. Like,
talk to me about that. So you were playing Origins. You got it when it came out, and you were talking to me about it. I wandered to your house and
Origins
watched you play
is amazing.
it. And you were so into it and trying to talk me into it. I was like, man, I'm done with Assassin's Creed. I'm just not.
It's not Assassin's Creed anymore.
Well, and you were telling me about all these cool places that you could go, and you would zoom up and then zoom down right on your character, right where you wanted to be, and it did look cool to me, but for whatever reason, I had too much other games to play. I guess.
Let me tell you about Origins.
What was?
I don't know the story that well because I have a hard time following those types of stories. So I'm more interested in the world.
Right.
I know the story in Origins was you play a character who I forget his name, and I don't even remember. He does some stuff. I don't know what he does. Like he's looking for. But revenge.
Like you said, you weren't really paying attention to the story.
No, I didn't. I know. The story,
you were there to explore.
I have a hard time following when you got two NPC characters kind of like half acting and going like blah 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 blah. Yeah. Blah, blah. Now go to the other side of the map. And see me when you level up. Like, I don't get it, so I don't follow it. But what I was excited about was exploring ancient Egypt.
Yeah. See, there was one part you were showing me where you were, like, actually exploring a tomb or something?
No, I would go and I would, when I first found the pyramids, that was the most fun because I would go and I'd look up the pyramids online.
Yeah.
And I'd do, like, references to see, where am I standing in this photo and where is it in the real world.
So these were actually taken from real life Egyptian.
Yeah, like
pyramids.
They get it as right as they can to scale because they have to scale everything down. But I'm pretty sure they have the pyramids to scale. I'm pretty sure they have the Sphinx to scale.
That's cool.
They have plus the world they build. They try to keep it as accurate as possible. So it's the closest you're gonna get to going back in time.
And seeing that world.
And seeing it through the eyes of somebody who lives in it and seeing that the way that people go through their daily lives. Like, sure, you're doing some dumb task where they tell you to, like, go find my sunken treasure out in the middle of the lake. But you actually know where these land, when I grew up as a kid, they would hear these Bible stories all the time and they would talk about different places. And to me as a kid, they were just
fantasy.
They were words. They didn't mean anything. And then when you're here, you're like, oh, there's Jordan. Oh, there's all these other places.
Real life, like
and you can go there and you can actually experience it. And to me, that was worth every ounce of it. Not to mention the effects in that, like the detail they went through. Like, sure, you might not be into the lore anymore, but the detail, I just played Spider-Man. Spider-Man doesn't even come close to the detail.
Spider-Man. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of one of my big takeaways is, like, especially with the NPC characters, they're all just like
they're stiff,
lifeless, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really weird.
Well, you get to go and, like, be a gladiator, and you get to have a choice. Do you want to be a gladiator? You can drive chariots. You get to like when you do the gladiator stuff, it's not just, I don't know, it feels real. It feels like you're there. And it actually, some things are underwhelming where you thought things were grander, but then you play it in a game and it seems a little less. But that's part of the cool part about it. And then you get to see how these rivers and how, I don't know, you get to, the desert is so huge and barren. But at the same time, they'll still give you something really cool, like where you go underneath a pyramid and then it opens up this ancient computer thing. And you get to see what the old world, and that's because by the time I played Assassin's Creed Origins, I'd already started tattooing this client. So he told me the order. So when I went down and I was under the pyramid, and there's this thing under the pyramid where it like opens up and it tells you the story of the ancient world. And this is apparently some of the first times that this stuff is being viewed. So I guess this first assassin, in Assassin's Creed Origins, you're forming the original assassins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
Okay.
It
has the name Origins.
Yeah. The first guy, you get to see how he even like cuts his finger off.
Yeah.
You get to see where he gets the blade, which they don't explain the blade yet, and I think they might do that in Odyssey. Yeah. Maybe. But the blade he just finds, but they do explain how that gets introduced. They explain how they kind of form an alliance, and it all has to do with Cleopatra which that was fun for me because I was like, oh, that's Cleopatra. Because I always heard of her, but I didn't know what point in history she was. I didn't know her real significance. Like, I knew her story, but again, these are like, if you're not, something about Assassin's Creed takes you through the story.
It's different from reading it in a history book. You know, history books for me are kind of difficult to follow, and they don't really tell a story that you want to be engaged with.
Yeah, they kind of Cliff's Notes. Like, Cleopatra was this girl, and she goes and she hooks up with this guy, and then she's like beautiful, and that's all. That's how I get it.
So when you get to see this like visually, like in a movie type setting or a video game, you get to, in the video games to me, this is why I love video games.
Take you into it.
Yeah. I get immersed really easy into specific games that are able to do that. Assassin's Creed games were always really good at immersing me.
That's why I play it, because like I said, we travel a lot, my girlfriend and I, and so sometimes we're going to be far away from anything interesting, and there's like, do you go to a bar or do you stay home and play video games? It's probably more healthy to play video games.
And just take your mind off.
Yeah, and so I like to go into this world, and because when I was a kid, I had the biggest like imagination.
Me too.
Yeah, and so games could take me somewhere more so than other things. That's why I like Marvel. That's why I like Guardians of the Galaxy and all these things.
Well, I mean, like you said, like when we were kids, we're only a year apart. We would play pretend like all the time.
Yeah.
We lived outside. We lived in the woods, and we were building.
And our imagination was so strong.
Yeah. There was no limit to our imagination. When you grow up,
it goes away.
And it's so disappointing how easily it does.
And you just eat some mushrooms, it comes right back.
Well, the games do such a great job of bringing you back to that world that you've lost since you were a kid. It's kind of funny watching my kids when they're playing and seeing
you get
how
jealous, huh?
I do. I'm watching them. I'm like, man, they are in a whole new world right now. Anything I say to them is not going to matter because they're somewhere else.
They're where they are.
Their minds are somewhere else.
They got an action figure and a car. And they're there.
And they're there. They are there. And they're giving voices to their characters and everything. And I remember being a kid and people would say, you know, oh, I used to, like movies and stuff. They would say like, oh, it was so great to be a kid. You had such a great imagination. And I was like, I don't get it. Like, sure, how would you lose this? This is like something that's so easy.
I don't know what happens when you get an adult. Things go away. In fact, again, going back to like us traveling a lot, like I think that's what it is. I think when you're an adult and you travel and you go to like vacation spots, somehow it puts you into it. It's immersive.
Yeah.
So like traveling to me is like an adult imagination is the real thing. So maybe the fantasy of a kid, and then when you're adult, you can actually go to these places.
It's the mystery of the unknown when you're a kid. It's the sense of discovery.
Yeah, because once you've seen it, you've seen it. Right. And the mysticism. It's like when people are in their hometown, they never even venture out of their own hometown to appreciate it. Like
that's why when you're a kid, it's so easy to believe stories that people tell you. It's like it's easy to believe it because you don't know. You don't know. It's unknown to you.
Yeah. So I always take time to appreciate when Faith and I are in different places, like when we're on top of a mountain with a beautiful waterfall. I never allow my brain to not be satisfied with where I am. Yeah. I always have to take I take a deep breath and I live in the moment. And I think to me, Assassin's Creed is like, it's like a nicotine patch for those emotions. So it's like I just want, that's what I'm doing with the game right now. The new one, Odyssey, is I'm trying to slow down my brain while I play it. Cause usually I'm just like I said, I beat games in 3 days and then I'm done with them. And I'm like, no, slow down, do every side mission, learn who the characters are.
Really take in this world, be a part of it. I that makes sense to me. And it also makes sense to me as to why you like Assassin's Creed so much, because as someone who likes to travel like you do, this is just another way for you to travel and keep your mind in that traveling
It gets me excited. Like, I want to go to these places. Yeah. I want to go to one of my biggest things, I want to go to South America right now, because there's still areas of South America that are relatively, they're not as tainted, I suppose, by modern world. Like, you can still go to some towns that feel very old, and I'd like to do that.
That's interesting, yeah.
And Assassin's Creed, to me, that's what I do. I like the old. that's why I liked Origins. It was ancient Egypt. It's Cleopatra. I finally figured out who Julius Caesar like.
It's cool. Like,
to me, these stories they don't have reference until you've quote unquote lived in them.
The weird thing to me is, like, I always feel like I should have been attracted to Origins just simply because of the setting. Ancient Egypt has always been really fascinating to me.
It's so spot on.
Pyramids and everything.
I should know. I've been to ancient Egypt.
Yeah, well, it's definitely, well, according to what you know from what you learned in school or whatever, history books and movies. But yeah, I could definitely see myself getting immersed in that world. But the thing is like, at that point in time, I just felt like I was done with Assassin's Creed, and I was done with that gameplay style. I was done with walking through cities and hiding in crowds and then jumping out.
Oh, see, there's none of that in this.
See, and that's so weird.
Okay, so that's the biggest difference. Assassin's Creed, the newer one, they're slowly getting away from old Assassin's Creed. I feel like they should just change the name. They could keep
that different. I've heard that before.
Well, yeah, because they can keep the lore. Like the Assassin's Creed Origins, they still tried to stay grounded. They were faking it.
Yeah.
Like, even in the new one, they take that cutscene, where you're walking through the Animus in between the loading screens. Yeah. That's not in the new one. It's not even in there.
That's such a, like, trademark thing.
That's what I thought. I was like, why do you even put Assassin's Creed in the title? Like, you can live in this world, but you don't have to call it, like, I guess Star Wars does it with all their side ones. But, like, you have to have, I don't know. The new one, they don't even care. In fact, I've been playing the new one now for several hours, Odyssey, and they shouldn't have done that. Origins Odyssey. Okay, but anyway, 2 ones.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. They went to the Animus where the girl. I guess you are a girl that's in an Animus.
Okay.
The same girl from Origins, but you like see her for half a second. She's like, "Yeah, cool. I'm going back in," and then that's it.
That's all I want. Like, I don't even want the Animus to be part of it anymore. I wish they would just drop.
I feel like they
together.
threw it in there, just like, oh yeah, here it is.
Here it is, still here. Yeah, it's something that's so irrelevant at this point. Like, who cares? Let's just put me into this world. Let me explore ancient Greece with.
Well, that's the thing about the new one. See, Origins, they were trying to stick with the lore,
right,
and tell a backstory. So far on Odyssey, I don't think they care at all. I think they're just about having a great time. So, like,
which is fine. Like, you're in ancient Greece, man. You're crawling around on Zeus's dick. It's cool.
Yeah, you do. That's the first thing you do.
That's the only thing I've seen of that game. It's like, Bill,
I posted it up on my Instagram too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Bill sent me a picture and he said, "Look, I'm hanging off Zeus's dick."
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the first thing. The very first thing you do. It's like it's like they're telling you, like, it's this kind of game.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, hey, go open up the map because you still have to go and do those eagle visions or whatever, and you have to climb on his dick to get to the top.
So they're kind of just prepping you for this is what you can do.
All of the statues have uncircumcised.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all of them.
But they're massive. That's the thing that got me is the picture he sent to me. It's like this is only one part of this giant statue. I have a picture on my
Instagram of me hanging off of his ball sack.
Yeah, that's the way he said.
And yeah, I thought I was the first one to do it. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy to me to think that statue is that big. I mean, is it a full size, like...
Oh, everything's to scale. Everything's to scale. That's
an actual thing that would have existed back then?
Assassin's Creed, that's the thing. That even though they've got this lore and they've got kind of a goofy story, the places and the things, the monuments you visit are as accurate as they possibly can make them.
That's so cool to me. Like, how in the world did they build something like that back then?
I'll tell you what I did. All right, so when it first opens up... I'm on this island in ancient Greece, and I don't know anything about ancient Greece.
Right.
So I'm looking at the map, and the map has a shape, and I was like, I wonder if that's what ancient Greece really looks like. And I pull up a map of ancient Greece, and the map matches up.
Right.
And so I look at
the boot kicking the
and then the island that I'm on is a real island. Like, I've never even heard of it.
You have the boot kicking Sicily. I remember that from geography. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, apparently there's all these little tiny islands all over there.
Yeah.
And so the island that you start off on, I went to Google Maps and I stood at a specific point and I looked out on the horizon and I went to Google Maps and I tried to mimic that exact same point.
Oh, that's cool. You're taking it to a whole new level.
Well, I want to know how accurate it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to me, that's what I'm doing. I'm traveling artificially. That's,
I see.
So I want to know how accurate is the setting. And what they do for the most part, they get the landscape geography
right
correct, but then they have to scale it down. So like you can run across this island and it feels like you're within one ranch. So, you know, the size of like a ranch.
Right.
And that's the size of the entire island.
Yeah.
But if you look on, you know, Google Earth, it's obviously a much bigger place.
Much bigger, yeah.
But they get everything, even though the scale, the shape is right, the scale is different. But it's all there. Like the monuments are where they're supposed to be. The cities are where they're supposed to be. Apparently, I need to learn more about history because you are you're fighting the Athenians.
Okay.
And
you're Leonidas, right?
No, you're not Leonidas. In the very opening scene, you're Leonidas. Oh, that's another cool thing. Okay. I want to talk about the contrast between Origins and Odyssey. Origins was trying to stick with some sort of Assassin's Creed while still being an open world RPG.
Right.
Which was an amazing...
That's okay. You nailed it right there. I'm not mean to cut you off, but RPG. What I've heard about these new games with Odyssey and Origins is it's aiming to be more of an RPG than an Assassin's Creed game.
Odyssey, they just said, fuck it. This is an RPG game. Straight up. Like...
You level up. You have to
pick your
do
character.
missions to gain experience.
You have to develop your character's personality. Like the girl in it is a lesbian, and I think there's no getting around it. I think that's just who she is in the game.
What, the Animus girl?
Yeah, no, the girl in the.
You play as a woman in that game?
You play as a guy or girl, and apparently they go through the same storyline. So there's one
in Odyssey or Origins. You got me confused.
Odyssey.
Now. Oh, okay.
So there is one character that, okay, so apparently you get to pick whether you are like have a love interest or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have these dialogue options. So it's like you can tell her to fuck off, or you can be nice to her, or you can hit on her.
I see.
I played the female character just for something different, and it stays the same. So you have no other option. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess the female, there's no other option because the guy or the girl are both going to hit on the same girl. So, so I was like, I skipped it for a while until finally it was like pressuring me to keep doing. I was like, all right, fine, fuck it, let's hit on her, and yeah, that's totally a thing, and she's a big whore.
Well, that's kind of weird to me. Like Assassin's Creed has never been about building a love interest. It's always just been about
they force you into it.
I'm not into that. Like, I don't need a love story in my video game.
I didn't think you needed it anyway. In fact, once I did it, I was like, all right, they want me to...
Yeah, they're forcing
They want me to hook up with this chick. I'm going to hook up with her. I'm going to see what's up with it. And in the end, it was just like, well, you did a good job.
That's it. Yeah, like, it doesn't really have...
It had no significance.
Right. So
maybe later in the game, I haven't gotten that far into the game. But anyway, what I'm saying is like, so you can pick, you can flirt with her, or you can tell her to fuck off completely.
Right.
You can save people.
So the two characters that you choose from are actually Leonidas's kids.
Okay. Well, from what I gather, I don't know that they're no, they're not. I just learned that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I don't want to give too much of the story later.
Yeah, don't spoil anything.
But in the beginning, you see Leonidas. You play as Leonidas, and you're battling the 300. And you go through that whole battle,
which is so cool to me because I love that movie. I didn't know anything about that storyline until the movie.
Yeah, well, then you have your Spartan kick, so you kick the shit out of everyone. Oh, nice. That's one of your go-to moves too.
Yeah.
Like, so you have these like so you've got your ability thing, whatever they call that, the scale where you can pick your different abilities,
like a skill tree or something.
Skill tree, yeah. And you have like an assassin skill tree, which is more like stealthy. You have a warrior skill tree, which is warrior, and then you have like one that's for hunting, and for like more your bow stuff. Well, I usually stick to assassin because I'm terrible with aiming, and so I stick with assassin so I can be stealthy. But the warrior skill tree has buttons you can attach, like the kick is like a special move. And then like there's this like bull charge special move, and you assign them to a different button. So they don't just tell you what you make the button pattern
right
to match. I don't know if is that in other games where you assign different abilities to different buttons.
Yeah, you can do that in other games.
but
can't think of any offhand, but that sounds familiar.
Anyway, that's super rad. I really like Odyssey. I like Odyssey for the reasons because I play it for a specific reason. That is to travel to another place and to waste time before I go to bed. And I don't want to be challenged really. Like, for instance, if it was Spider-Man or God of War, I'm way into those stories, so I'll binge it.
Right.
Like I'll play those and lose sleep and then go work next day tired. But the Assassin's Creed I can play for a few hours, get real sick of it, and then put it down.
Is it is it a little bit more mindless than those other games? Like God of War,
more mindless.
God of War and Spider-Man, they require full attention.
No, they're way more mindless. Like they have you do so much grinding in between your story progression.
Yeah. So
you like. So if you wanted to blast through the story, you really can't because the story picks up. You're at level 7. But they won't let you progress till you're level 10.
Yeah.
So you have to go and run a bunch of errands. And not only that, the errands aren't linear. So like the thing about the game is they don't tell you what side you're on. They kind of give you hints about where you could start with whether you want to pick the one side or whether the Spartans or the Athenians. But you don't know. In fact, that's what I was dealing with last night when I was playing. I didn't know who to fight for or why. I still don't know. That's why I need to slow down, and because I want to make like an educated decision. I could go back and look at history and see how that, and I did. I looked at the Spartans, and all I looked up was pretty much they said everything we know about Spartans is wrong. I was like, well, all right. So I wanted to know what side to pick, and so I don't know, and so I decided to run around and level up. So right now I am a Spartan because I know who they are.
Right.
I don't know much about the Athenians. So so right now I'm fighting them. So I chose the red side. It's red Spartans, blue Athenians. So that's what you do is you run around and then you have these little side quests where like you help people do stuff. Like some guy might be getting bullied. So right now I'm trying to play Good Samaritan. So I'm like, whatever the best option. So like if you go and do your character's a mercenary. So you get paid to do certain things. So somebody can hire you to go and help them with a thug or something. Well, sometimes that thug is a Spartan. And so you have like these levels of the Spartans are stronger or the Athenians are stronger. So if you go and help this person who's being bullied and you have to go kill a Spartan, your Spartan level drops.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So I found this out yesterday and then I looked it up and everybody's having the same problem. So there's a part in the game where you go, because you do these big war battles. So you enter a war scene, and it's basically like an old war. You're one person in an army against the Athenians, and you can pick what side. You can fight for whatever side you want to kick whether the battle is won by the Athenians or the battle, and you're trying to control land, so that if that land's either controlled all by Athenians or all controlled by what am I trying? The Spartans. So I'm gonna go side with the Spartans. So I run over and they're all standing around this map. The general, he's standing around this map, and if you're good with the Spartans, they won't fuck with you. But they'll give you the option to kill them all the time, and they'll give you their ranking and everything. So it's like it's open season to everyone. So everyone's got a level, everyone's got a strength, and every time you pass somebody, they'll ask if you want to assassinate them. To assassinate somebody, you push triangle. To talk to somebody, you also push triangle. So I run up on this. I run up on this thing where the general's sitting on the map and he's doing his planning and he's around like 5 soldiers and we're in the middle of the entire Spartan army. There's soldiers everywhere.
Yeah.
And I run up on him and I push triangle to talk to him, but another guy passes in front of me and I assassinate him.
Oh, man.
And then next thing you know, the whole army just destroys me. So there's a gaming flaw right there. Don't make the talk to button the same as the kill button. So you're immediately, that's the thing. If you kill a Spartan, you are now wanted by the Spartans. Another thing is you're being chased by these other mercenaries the whole time. So you can kill the mercenaries before they ever get hired. You can kill the mercenaries once they're hired. A lot of them, you got to check their level, because if they're even one drop ahead of you, you're not going to kill them. So, so you go and you kill mercenaries, or you can pay off the debt. So if you're wanted, you go pay your own fine, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
You're off the hook. But I like to just kill them. I like to level up and then hunt them down before they can hunt me down. But I will say one big criticism, other than the game's kind of, the story's a little silly. The stealthiness is too easy. Like, maybe I guess it turned the difficulty up.
I was going to ask that. So you were saying, like,
you can walk right in front of somebody and they won't see you.
That's
You're
weird.
Squatting.
Because Assassin's Creed has always been about the stealth element. I mean, that's a big
You're still
part of
stealthing.
it.
You, instead of having that blade, hidden blade, you have that spear, Spartan spear. It's the Leonidas' spear, which they haven't explained to me. They just start off and you have it, so I have no clue
Where it came from or why.
But
yeah, I mean, what I'm talking about is, like, in the old games, you would have to follow people and stuff, and you would have to sneak in crowds.
See, that isn't even a thing anymore.
That's so weird.
You just walk up to them and you stab them, and then you hide their body if you want to.
That kind of defeats the
stealthiness.
Yeah,
the stealthiness of the game to me is where it really drops ball, because I'm a stealth guy, and the old games you had to, like, blend in with the crowd and put your hood up and all these other things. This one, it's not at all like that. You just squat and you sneak up in a bush. There's bushes everywhere, and if you're in a bush, you apparently don't exist.
Yeah,
they can go. So, like, that to me is the biggest. Like, I feel like there is no challenge at all, but also I can't fight.
Yeah.
So if anyone sees me, I get killed, because I haven't figured out the button system yet. Like the dodging, like I keep trying to do it, but I can't time it correctly. Like when I play Spider-Man, I got the timing so down.
Spider-Man makes it easy.
Yeah.
I love Spider-Man because of the battle system. I like when you're fighting people, it's so easy to, like, you have plenty of time to dodge and counter. That's what the battle system is.
Yeah, well, with this one, like, you have to be squared up with them and then blocking, and then when they swing, so you can't hold block. You have to wait from the rear back to swing, then you hit block. You have to square up with them, and then it'll break him, and then you can slice them down. So
that sounds complicated.
It is. It's a lot harder, and I haven't gotten it down. So now when I'm in a big fight, I get my ass kicked.
Not to mention your level also takes a big.
You cannot. Well, I thought, like, I was leveling up because I wanted to go into that big war battle.
Right.
The war battle levels up with you.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
So you can't overlevel yourself?
Not really. Huh. Not that I know of. Maybe in the end of the game. See, I don't know. There's slight criticisms that I have with it. Like, but really what I'm interested in more than anything, I want to get into the secret areas. I want to see the map open up. Like I said, when I could go down into the pyramids in Assassin's Creed Origins and explore them, and when I could go into these different ruins and things and explore them, and they were somewhat accurate while still being skew. That's one thing. Okay, so I heard Assassin's Creed Odyssey is going to introduce the sunken city, Atlantis.
Really? Oh,
that's what I'm
awesome.
Really getting excited for. Like, I want to go and explore Atlantis.
Dude, that's spoiler right there. Like,
well, because apparently that's where the old civilization
was.
I
mean, I guess if you don't know for sure, that to me would be reason enough to play the game. Like that is super.
I'm looking forward to Atlantis. That's what I like. I like to go in these old places. I like to go underground and be like, oh shit, there's some stuff here.
So this is what I need from Assassin's Creed or a game in general. Like, I love the sense of discovery. I love finding something that I didn't know was there. And that's what I feel like is lacking in a lot of games today. And I feel like Assassin's Creed is a perfect opportunity to do that.
Assassin's Creed is something everyone should play. If you've been on the fence about it, maybe you didn't like the other ones, play it. It's not going to be this grandest game, but you can waste a lot of time and it's very satisfying. Very, very satisfying. The only thing that could make it better is if they had better characters and
How do you feel about the leveling system though? I've heard a lot of criticism about it because Ubisoft is selling a double XP bonus thing.
Yeah, no, it's not too difficult to level up.
Well, they were saying that you couldn't just play through the game without doing side quests, whereas in the older games you could bypass all the side quests and play through the main story.
Oh yeah, you have to do side quests. Well, I've been getting better about.
They're saying like the leveling system. You shouldn't have to buy double XP to skip the parts of the game that you don't want to play.
Well, no, because it's a grinding game. That's what the game is. So if you play it, you're playing it to grind. You're playing it, like, for instance, the story it's a story. You know, it's great. Like, you see how good I am at recalling it. You have it's something to do with Leonidas. It's something about the 300.
Right.
But I don't know much about it past that.
Okay. My argument to that is, and I disagree with these people who are saying, well, you got to buy the double XP. I don't think you do, because that kind of forces you to play more of the game. Like, I want to play the side quests.
What's motivating me to play the game right now is I want to go and get good at sailing the ship, because you have your own ship.
You want to build your character yourself.
Yeah, you have your own ship. You have your own crew. That's another thing. Instead of assassinating people, you can make them join your crew.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So you can build a crew. You can customize your ship. You can go out and you can kill other ships. And that's kind of what I'm doing it, because for me right now is I'm trying to, again, we travel all the time, my girlfriend. And so I'm trying to have something that when I come home, it's just something to unwind.
Unplug.
It's not going to take all my attention.
Right.
So maybe I'll go and do a few ship missions, upgrade my ship, and put it away.
This is why I like JRPGs, because it's the same reason. When I come home, like, I work a job that is very, like, I'm thinking the whole time, about how I'm going to design this next design or whatever, So when I come home, I don't want to think anymore. Like, my brain is done. I'm exhausted. So turning off in a game like that, I mean, like, JRPGs, I can listen to some of the story, or if I just want to go and grind and build my characters up, I can do that. And it's just mindless.
Yeah,
work.
It's mindless and it's fun. So you can grind and build your characters up, and you can climb on Zeus's dick.
There you go. I mean, what more do you need? That's exactly right. I mean, dude, you've convinced me that I want to play.
Not to mention, you can go, like, deep in the ocean. She can hold her breath for fucking ever.
Yeah.
So you can go swim in forever. You can kill sharks. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what's there. Like, what have I not seen yet? Like, because right now the game is there's nothing fantastical about it. The biggest thing that happened was climbing on Zeus.
Yeah.
That's it. Other than that, I haven't seen it open up. Like I said, when I was playing Origins, seeing the pyramids, going out in the middle of the desert, going underground and opening some ruins up and seeing some
I think that's
things.
what God of War did so great, is they had a lot of things to discover in that game.
God of War, I'll tell you the only criticism I had with God of War, which maybe if I were to play it again, I could, if my brain's better suited for it. It felt like an open world game, but it wasn't at all open world.
It was a closed open world.
Yeah, so I wasn't ready for that because I'm not used to that kind of gameplay. So but I do appreciate it now for storytelling, because it keeps things from getting too far off base.
Well, and there's so many secret areas to discover in that game that there's a lot.
Maybe I do. I've actually not completely beat it. I beat the story, but like I can't.
Well, when I'm playing through games like this, and this is another reason why I'm not jumping into Assassin's Creed immediately, is like, when I play a game like that, my OCD takes over, and I want to do every little thing before I progress the story to the next part. Like in Spider-Man, every time they open up new side quests, like.
But in Spider-Man and in God of War, every side quest that you do is what you're supposed to do. Well, I mean, not necessarily. That's the difference between this one. You don't go do every side quest in Odyssey because maybe that's going to work against you.
Oh, weird. Okay.
You have to make decisions because it adjusts the story. Like
in Spider-Man, like they have me collecting pigeons and backpacks and stuff like that. Right.
Took me forever to learn how to catch those damn pigeons.
Oh man, that was
that's stupid. I hated that part.
The part that I hate the most are the challenges, the Taskmaster challenges.
Yeah.
I don't like those at all.
I don't know. Spider-Man to me was pretty incredible. It's a really great geeking out game.
Well, and the thing is with Spider-Man, like I could have beaten this game a long time ago. I've sunk a lot of hours into this game, but every time they open up new side quests, and I love how they drip feed you the side quests. Like they don't just open up the map and say, okay, go do all the side quests. No, it's like play through the story a little bit more and then they'll unlock some more side quests. Play through the story and then unlock more side quests. And then so when they unlock more, I have to go through that whole map and do all of them before I progress the story again.
What I would hope to see from Spider-Man, and I know they're going to do it because they have some DLC coming with the Black Cat and all that. To me, it feels like we don't need to remake this game.
No.
Just keep the story moving.
Right. And you can. It's Spider-Man. Spider-Man can go on forever, you know?
Well, they should do it episodic like that, but I hear they're going to like, because like right now there's something to do with Venom going on, and I want to know. Like, I want to know what's going on.
Oh, man, that would be
But were they going to make us wait for an entirely another game? Like, how many times you got to rebuild New York? Like, that's the only place Spider-Man hangs out in. So I think they should just do it. And
add more to
episodic. Just keep on feeding it to us. Like,
you could also open up to areas beyond. We're getting way off topic here, though.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing I was saying, though, is like the only reason why I'm not jumping into Odyssey right now is because of my OCD. And I feel like if I jump into Odyssey, everything else is going to take a backseat until I finish Odyssey, which could be a very long time.
Oh, you'd have to do Origins first, too.
So you're saying I need to play Origins before I play Odyssey?
I don't know. I don't even know the story. I don't even know right now how the story relates to Assassin's Creed at all.
I'm thinking, like, I kind of think that I need to play Origins anyway because it's cheaper.
Origins is like, it's like if you took the same engine, and it's like, here's a game, you guys make it however you want it, and here's the exact same game, you guys make it the same way you want it. It's because it feels like the same game, but like they're using the mechanics differently. Whereas Origins explains why you have a bird, Odyssey doesn't even touch on it. At all, so the mechanic is still there.
So they have the same mechanics, but it seems like two different teams.
One team decided to explain it, and the other one's just like, "Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
we're gonna throw that in too."
So it sounds to me like Odyssey is maybe they're just trying to make
unapologetically fuck around.
Yeah, like here's an open world sandbox in ancient Greece.
Play.
Don't worry about anything else. Just have fun.
Just have fun. Here's a bird, by the way. Don't even worry why you have a bird, because it doesn't matter.
I'm okay with that.
Why does she still do that swan dive?
Yeah,
from the top. Doesn't matter. We don't care. Why does she wear a hood? Doesn't matter.
Well, that's appealing to me, and I think I might jump into Odyssey just for that. Like, the storyline at this point in time, I really could care less about. I just really want to go explore these areas. Like,
I'll tell you one
that's
thing.
The draw.
My client that loves Assassin's Creed, I guarantee he probably hates Odyssey because it completely shits on the story. It doesn't it doesn't care. It doesn't even. I don't think they even gave it a thought. I think they were just like, yeah, okay. Well, but for all I know, right now, I'm only level 10, 9 or 10.
You still got a lot to go. This, from what I've heard, you could play this game for 70 plus hours.
That's why I got it. When Faith and I go to our next destination, you know, we're traveling to we're traveling to Colorado, and then we got to go to Las Vegas and a few other places. There's going to be a lot of times where I don't have anything to occupy my time. Sometimes we're pulled over, and we travel in an RV. For those of you who are confused, and so sometimes we pull into rest stops. And I have a big 4K TV in my RV, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah. So sometimes I pull into rest stops and we have nothing to do at all. And that's
what the hell are you going to do at a rest stop? Go and chat with the truck drivers?
No. You sit and you play Assassin's Creed in the truck stop. So that's why I got the game, and the game is absolutely serving that purpose. And that's also why I want Red Dead Redemption when it comes out.
Yeah.
I get jealous because I wish I could play with you guys on those like Destiny style games, but I can't.
Yeah.
Or Fortnite or whatever.
Well, I mean, they're fun, but you know how I am with games. I play my game for a little bit and I'm on to the next just as quickly as
me too. I've got so many games. I don't even know why I buy them. I just beat Tomb Raider.
Oh, I still haven't
Tomb Raider's
played
terrible, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Did you like the previous one?
I love Tomb Raider altogether. Like I love Tomb Raider.
The one the one that came out just before this latest one.
Yeah, I played that.
You like that one?
I liked all the ones leading up to it. This Tomb Raider was extremely repetitive and lazy. But it had really cool cutscenes. It had really cool action. And it had really cool, you know, as far as that's concerned. But, like, so repetitive. That's so repetitive. Like, how many times can you see the same animation?
Yeah.
She's got this animation where she, like, squeezes through a crack.
Yep. It's the same one from the very first game that they did.
Over and over. Like, how many times is she going to squeeze through impossible cracks?
Yeah.
Like, but, I don't know. I played it. I beat it. It was good. But I would not recommend it.
Wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed's way more playable than that one. So
well, since we're talking about your traveling and your tattooing and everything like that, Ryan does ultra realism style tattoo work. He also does airbrush work, and He's really good at it. And the reason why he travels is besides getting to see everywhere that you go and hang out in different states and different places, you also get to tattoo people in all these different places. Yep. So you're basically making appointments before you go there.
Yep.
And then you book up and you do tattoos there. So
and I teach
you're a traveling artist. When that's a goal that a lot of artists want to, aspire to have or to do. I think it's really cool. So if anybody wants to check you out or figure out or see what kind of work you do and see if they're interested in getting a tattoos, how can they find you?
Okay, go on my Instagram. That's the best way. It's Ryan__Townsend.
2 underscores.
Yeah.
2 underscores.
I did it because some kid had my name. And then as soon as I made my first post, somebody tagged me as Ryan_Townsend. And this kid started like, who's doing this to me?
Oh, man.
Stop being me.
I always wondered. Yeah, I figured that was probably the reason why you did that. But it is confusing because if you just see the name, you may not immediately recognize that there's 2 underscores.
I didn't want a fancy name because I wanted it to be direct. This is Ryan Townsend.
Right.
So I put.
But it's the 2 underscores that throws everything
I didn't know
off.
2 underscores would look like 1 underscore when you print it out.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's Ryan__Townsend. That's my Instagram. You can see my airbrush work. You can see we always post where we're traveling. So if anyone listening to this wants to get a tattoo from me, I like doing the video game tattoos. I started Adrian's.
He did my Mega Man here that I'm sure you guys see on the show on the YouTube version.
Yeah.
And I also have this cloud on a chocobo.
Yeah. And so I do that. I specialize in like the realistic stuff, the super high, hyper real. I also like to do like black and gray, like intricate stuff. I love color realism. So if there's anyone out there that wants something that's like video game related, but it's super hyper real, like modern video games.
Yeah.
I love doing that stuff. So that's what I do. And then I also teach airbrushing. You may not know, I used to paint motorcycles. Adrian and I grew up painting cars. So I paint motorcycles and I airbrush and I teach that.
Well, and you also, you haven't updated in a while, but you have a YouTube channel that you would teach airbrush classes.
Yeah, I had an old YouTube channel that I'm probably going to pick up again. I think it's just my name right now.
Is it not Berserk?
It was Berserk Custom Paint, but we changed it to just my name.
Ryan Townsend. So if you just search Ryan Townsend airbrush on YouTube,
yeah, you'll see my old how-to videos. But now I travel and teach, and I do seminars. So that's what we do. We travel, and I'm actually going to start my own podcast at some point.
Yeah,
that's about the people that we meet. Like we just met a guy who does these amazing giant sculptures. And so what I want to do is I want to travel around the country, and every little town that I visit, every city that I pass through, I want to find out what artist is in that area and their culture, and I want to interview them. And
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Think of like No Reservations, but for artists.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Definitely. I'd do that. I mean, there's no reason to.
Yeah, that's what we do. We travel. We're just looking for an excuse to keep traveling.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's why I think I'm drawn to Assassin's Creed, because it's like artificial travel.
Yeah.
It's traveling while I'm traveling.
Do you do Twitter or anything like that?
I don't do Twitter. I
do Facebook.
Should. I do Facebook. I don't get on there very often. I really try to stick to my Instagram page. I'm going to start my YouTube up again. Faith and I are trying to get that going. But yeah, the main way to stay with me is my Instagram.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. That was a fun conversation to have. I never thought that we'd be talking about Assassin's Creed, but he called me the other day and was telling me about Odyssey, and then we started talking. We were probably talking for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, like, don't talk about that.
I was like, we need to put this on a podcast.
I wanted to talk more about like us growing up and our first Nintendo games, because we
still could.
We got Nintendo on the same day, like for Christmas. We got PlayStation for Christmas. We have very different memories, because Adrian was a good gamer who loved video games. I was a casual gamer who couldn't figure out, like I was more like thinking like, I'm never going to figure out how to work this computer. But,
yeah. Well, it's funny because before we got ready to do the Assassin's Creed thing, Ryan was talking about maybe wanting to do like, talk about our history with gaming and how we remember it. And we quickly realized that he and I have completely different memories for
he
stuff.
Remembers them really well. Like he was like, oh yeah, that was Sega Genesis, and we played Sonic the Hedgehog.
Man,
I'm pretty sure that was Super Nintendo.
I was like, oh, this may not go well. So.
Yeah, my memories are askew, but I think I've been painting cars too long. I've been sniffing too many paint fumes.
I don't know.
But I have some really cool memories. Like I'm sure you said you talked about this, but I'm gonna tell the story. Can I tell the story? Do we have time?
What's that?
The Resident Evil one?
Oh yeah.
I want to tell it
the
from
story.
Adrian's told it before, but I want to tell it from my perspective because my perspective I feel like is more entertaining. So,
all right, you got 5 minutes.
5 minutes. I'm gonna tell a quick story.
All right.
Okay. So we found my dad had this thing where every time we would get something new that we were into, he would buy us everything, and he'd go to garage sales and he'd look for it, and he'd keep buying it. So it was PlayStation was the new thing that we got for Christmas, and the games were all brand new. We didn't know anything about video games, PlayStation video games. So my dad found this box of PlayStation games, while PlayStation was brand new, and one of them, the games that was in it, it was at a garage sale. One of the games that I'm trying to tell it really quickly. One of the games that was in it was Resident Evil. And we didn't know anything about Resident Evil at all. And so we just popped it in. All we knew is it had the little zombie or something on the front.
It looked creepy. Like the picture on the back showed that very first zombie that you run into. I remember thinking, that is creepy.
Yeah, and so my dad, he's not into video games, but he was at the time into buying us video games. So we're all sitting around TV and we pop it in. And
he was into finding good deals at garage sales.
And so he wanted to see that he got his money's worth, right? So he wouldn't even care about any other video games, we lucked into this was the game that we all happened to be playing at the same time. So Adrian's playing it, and I remember we picked Jill, because you could pick Jill or Barry or Chris. Jill or Chris. So, we're playing it, and we go into the first room, and I'm sure everybody's got this memory, but we go into the first room, which is that big banquet hall, and then you go into the door on the right, and then you turn left, and you see that first zombie, the one that's on the cover. And remember, like, we know nothing about zombie games. Like, we're like coming from Mario Brothers.
Yes, exactly. That's the big kicker right there. We've never had any experience with 3D games or scary games or any of that.
Nothing.
It's just straight Super Mario World,
Yeah, the only thing we played before that was like Jumping Flash.
Yeah.
We see this zombie and it's eating real slow on this dude, and then it just looks over its shoulder and scared the shit out of everybody in the room. Like, my dad was scared, I was scared, Adrian was scared, but the thing is, here's the thing. Adrian was the gamer. I couldn't play. I still can't control video games. Remember, I have to play
especially
stealth.
Resident Evil, because they had those tank controls.
You'd run into walls all the time because the directions. I used to always, like, when I'd walk, I'd run into walls making fun of the game. So so you know how, like, everybody now, we watch Game of Thrones as a family or whatever? Well, my dad would force us to sit around the TV to play Resident Evil.
Not just dad, mom too.
Mom, everybody as a family, we would all play so we could all play along. And Adrian was scared as shit, so he would always cry. Like, he would Dad was like, Adrian, get in here and play Resident Evil. He's like, I don't want to. It's giving me nightmares.
It really was. It really was.
So he got forced to play Resident Evil. I love that story because it's the one time that you got forced to play. You can't recreate that moment. Like, kids are so numb to zombies now. That could never happen again.
It couldn't. You're absolutely right. I mean, my kids, if they were to see something like that, I don't think they would be scared. But at the time when that came out, I was probably 14 years old, and my experience with scary things was non-existent. Mom did a really good job of keeping us away from scary movies and stuff.
She did.
So,
we weren't even allowed to watch The Fly, I remember. Jeff Goldblum.
Nothing. Yeah, like, so then you put me in front of a game, an immersive, like, I get immersed.
That's very difficult to play, because if you guys have ever played it, remember, it's not easy to shoot the zombie in the head, and it's not easy to run away either.
No.
So it's scary.
It's scary, and you're in this mansion. It's like as believable as I could possibly conceive something to be at that point in time in my life. I was in this mansion. Yeah. I was running away from these zombies. We were all scared
and jumping. We were all just watching as a family. That has never happened before or since.
Exactly. That was the unique thing about it. And that is why that game holds so much nostalgia to me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that it does the same for you.
I love the Resident Evil thing. Yeah. But anyway, I just had to tell that.
Like, well, yeah, I mean, that game right there sparked my interest. I think that was one of besides Final Fantasy VII, that was one of the main games that made me as big a gamer as I am today. Like, yes, they did force me to play it, and I'm so glad they did. Like, I was having nightmares.
My dad going, get the herb, it's in the drawer. Did you check that drawer? He's like, I checked the drawer, Dad. No, check it again. Adrian, did you move the shelf or move the armoire? Like, I can't move it, Dad.
move it anymore.
Yes, you can. Go try it. Yes, you can. Go move it.
Most of the time he would be wrong, but there were a few times where he was
He
right.
would be right a lot, yeah. Oh, there's an herb. Oh, no, if you go pull that handle, make the clock move. He's like, Dad, I can't move it. Jesus. Oh, it was so fun.
Well, the thing is like after I beat that game and, you know, a few years later, like I could not wait for Resident Evil 2 to come out. Like that was my most highly anticipated game. And I was like, why? Like when I was too scared to play this game, why am I looking forward to playing it again? The thing is by the time I finished that game, my nightmares had stopped. Like I was already into that. I was like, okay, like this doesn't frighten me anymore. I'm good. Like I love this. And when you see it through to the end and you kill that tyrant at the very end of the game, and you fly off in the helicopter, I'm like, this was the most satisfying gaming experience I think I've ever had up to this point.
And it never happened again. Those are the signs when I was talking about like your imagination as a kid and then trying to recreate it. Like there's certain times I don't think the experience of Resident Evil for the first time could ever, if you were like us and you got it not knowing anything about it, and it just happened to everything was so perfectly placed. Our family just happened to be my dad would never care about Resident Evil unless he bought it at a garage sale and got a fat deal.
Well, and that's the thing is like they would buy us games, but they were never interested in watching us play the games.
No.
Like mom or dad, we had both of them. This was a family thing.
Yeah,
that didn't happen then. You know, like maybe we watch a movie together or something, but that was about it. Like when you play a game together, it wasn't just watching me play the game. Everybody was involved. Yeah. Everybody was giving me commands, and I was following the orders.
They're bitching the whole time. I don't want to.
Yes.
I don't want to play it. I don't want to play it.
I was. But looking back on it now, it's like that was a family experience I'll never forget.
Yeah, and I love it. That's my favorite.
It's something that I wish that I could carry on to my kids, and I'm trying to do that.
I always tell that story, and I always put an exclamation point, like you gotta put yourself where we were, so you can really appreciate it. And everyone's like, "Yeah, I played Resident Evil."
Like, nobody will get that like we do, but it's everybody I think has a similar situation. It's just ours happened to be a Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Get the family together and play. It was
These poor
fun.
kids today, I don't know what video game. They're all numb to it. Like like you could put out the most realistic, scary game ever and they'll be like, whatever.
Or what game can you put out where you will have your whole family gathered around watching you and like actively participating? The only one person's holding a controller, but everybody's playing that game. That's how it was for us.
Well, that's what I was going back to, like narrative and stuff. You need games that can consume you more. I could talk forever because I was thinking about it earlier. It's like it's the characters. It's like Assassin's Creed, a bunch of level who cares characters.
Right.
Even I'm trying to think what's the last game I played. You need more animated characters. Oh, you know what? It's the animated ones like Ratchet and Clank. Like just give me a character that's easy to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that's another thing.
Well. Honestly, for sure, we could talk forever about other topics, and we do have several other topics. So next time you're back in town, we'll have to get back together and do another one of these. But yeah, it was fun, man. Thanks for joining me on this episode, and that's it. We'll see you later, guys.
Later.